This is the Pete Wong Podcast, sharing the things that I love with those that I love. I've always wanted to talk about the things that I care about in life. People have told me time after time, why don't you just share more of you? And with that, let's go.
Hey everyone, welcome to this week's The Pete Wong Podcast. How's everyone doing out there? I hope everyone is keeping safe and staying strong. We all need to stay strong and make sure that we're taking care of each other and taking care of ourselves. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in to the previous episodes. The last episode was something that was really important, and I've had a lot of nice feedback from people talking about how it's helping them during the current situation, and how just different ways we can learn how to communicate, how we have to adapt and adjust, and just feel really proud of being able to share that with all of you. This is our Christmas episode, and as you can see, we got the sweaters, and we are back in the Daijo Media studio, and it's pretty awesome. So thanks again for Josh helping us out and being such a great friend, and awesome episode with Josh as well too. Got to check that out. So for today's episode, I wanted to bring somebody that's very special to me, and I'll talk a little bit more about how we know each other, but let's meet her. So everyone, I have with me my guest, Emily Caruso. Hi, Emily.
Hello. I'm very excited to be on the podcast and share what I'm going to be sharing with you guys tonight. I have lived in Minnesota most of my life. Born in Michigan, moved here when I was 6. Then left, spent about 8 years in Fargo, North Dakota. Super cold, super windy. The true windy city, not Chicago. Moved back here about 6 years ago, and now I live in Minneapolis, and I substitute teach in St. Paul.
Where did you grow up in Michigan?
Kalamazoo.
Which
I haven't been back there in probably 3-4 years. So
Yeah.
I honestly don't remember where on the mitten it is.
Cool. I was just talking to somebody. It was actually one of my best friends, Henry, and he asked about where you're from, and I mentioned Kalamazoo, and he said, "Oh, I know exactly where that is." So he used to do some work there, and he had some good things to say about it. So I thought that was really cool.
Nice.
Like that. So very happy to have you here with me. And so I think it's time. Would you like to tell people about how we know each other, or do you want me to do that?
Go for it.
All right. So this is really cool. We talk about things serendipitous, things happening for a reason. And Emily is my girlfriend, and I'm very proud to say that. And I'm making her blush already. But we're going to be doing that a lot today. Isn't she cute? So how we met is pretty incredible. I'm going to get more detailed. I would love to get more detailed about our relationship and how we know each other in a future episode. This one we're going to talk about something a different topic that we both discussed that we thought might be relevant. And but we actually met each other through a dating app called Hinge.
Yup.
And I think the slogan is the app that you want to delete or something like that.
Yeah, like the app designed to be deleted, or.
There you go. So
Got that little Hinge plug. No.
there you go. And the funny thing is that I was on that app for 2 days, and then this lady here reached out to me, and I think we both just said yes, and it's been great, and that was in August, and we went on our first date, and et cetera, et cetera. We'll talk more about that another time. But I get very, it's a cool thing. I think our story is really cool, and I can't think of a more special way to bring 2020 on the podcast to a close. The reason why I wanted to bring Emily into to do the interview is because she has when we were getting to know each other, and of course we're still getting to know each other, but when we were beginning to date, her story really struck a chord in a very positive and healthy way, and it also inspires me. And so I thought her story would be very helpful to a lot of people out there, and just really support the whole purpose behind the podcast. And so, how's that? Is that a good way to segment off into your story?
Yeah.
Excellent.
That's wonderful. Back in 2000, it was 2018, in the winter, spring, and I don't know. There had been a series of just events in just the past several years, even before then, that I always kind of left me feeling like I was doing something wrong. Like there was something wrong with me. I had a hard time with friendships and just interactions with people, and I didn't really understand. I just thought, this is me. Maybe I'm just broken, and I don't know what that is. And then after a while kind of talking about it more, I was discussing some things with my mom, and I forget how we got on the topic. But she mentioned maybe like, do you think you might have anxiety? I'm like, I don't think so. Like, that doesn't sound like, from what I knew of it, I didn't know much of anything. And so I decided just to go and talk to a doctor and figure it out. And after learning that it might be in my family, because my uncle and a few cousins have it as well. And so I ended up getting put on a prescription for anxiety that didn't, it never really felt like it was doing much or helping me. I just felt like, I don't know, just like nothing changed. And then, I'd been taking that for a few months, and then I met somebody back in April of that month, or of that year, April of 2018, who was talking to me about like DJs and EDM music, and my brain instantly kind of shut down. I'm just like, no, that's stuff people listen to in college. It's not music. It's just garbage noise. Like, no, I have no interest.
What does EDM stand for?
Electronic dance music.
Okay, electronic dance.
Yes.
In case any, those of you listeners might not know, I didn't know before, but yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then I was introduced to these artists. This is a trio of DJs from out in the UK called Above and Beyond. And I don't know what happened. Like, I listened to it, and I kept listening to more. I was shown one song, then another song, then a live set that was filmed the year before, and I felt like all this, I don't know, like walls maybe I built up inside, like everything just kind of came down. And then finally, getting to go to shows and like actually experience it was really cool. I still felt kind of self-conscious in that world. But all of a sudden I start going to events and meeting some people, and all of a sudden, like, I just felt happy. I didn't feel any of what I was feeling before. I didn't have any of that anxiety kind of cloud hanging over me. And it just kind of became just this beautiful world. And, through it, I've, gained the courage and confidence in myself to travel alone and then travel with strangers on said alone flying trips and meet people and go to concerts alone. I never would have done that, but it's just such a safe and beautiful place to be.
You mentioned that you were kind of nervous when you were starting to go to shows, what do you consider it, like a community, or what do you call it? A culture, or
definitely
yeah.
It's community, it's family.
Okay.
I mean, in the beginning, that maybe in like late summer, early fall of that year, 2018, I still I had reservations. I remember driving halfway to Minneapolis for an event. It was an ugly sweater party.
Oh.
Ugly sweaters. And it was for, it's called the Minneapolis and Juna family. So it's like that's a record label. It's Above and Beyond's record label. And I got halfway there and I just got nervous and I don't know anybody. I can't go in alone. And so I turned around and went home. And then it was probably January, probably right into New Year. I went to my first show all by myself and everything just was I can do this. Everyone's just here. We're just having fun. We're just dancing. No one knows if I'm not with this group of people or that group of people. No one knows I'm here alone. And then just starting to talk to people. And the more and more I just got out of my shell and I stopped feeling anxious in the crowds. And thank God, because I met some of my very best friends. Devin, she's just a wonderful, loving person. And then Kavik has been a great friend. You've gotten to meet both of them. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I've been very blessed with the friendships and the family I've gained from losing that anxiety of attending alone.
So you met them at the show, at the both of them at the show, or
at a variety of different ones.
Okay.
I'd see them, we'd all be at the same ones, and people were like, "Oh, do you know this person? Do you know this person?" I think Devin I met because she just finished DJing, and I just wanted to be like, "Oh my God, your set was so amazing." She's like, "Oh, thanks," and we just started seeing each other more and talking more, and yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about the details of the community?
Part of the community is kind of we call it PLUR, P-L-U-R aspect, which stands for peace, love, unity, and respect. Mm-hmm. So it's just a very, I don't even know. It's it's a hard thing to describe. It's an thing to experience. But I remember she had the idea to send out some PLUR Christmas packages to people. And it's oh, you don't have to send anything back, or you can pass on the love, send something to somebody else, just the little things people do for each other that are just out of caring or kindness, or just I don't know, my Anjuna mug that I have was just a random fun. So I got home and it was sitting there. It was sent to me in the mail by my buddy Kavik, and it was just oh my God.
I love that mug, by the way. One of my favorite mugs to
cool
drink
mug.
Coffee out of. Would you say that it is there are some unspoken rules or protocol or ways of doing things or culture that goes along with EDM? I mean, can you say more about that?
Yes, there is. I think the vibe is a little different with every subgenre of the music because it's enormous. I will say that, of the festivals I've been able to go to, the one that just left me feeling so at home, it was the Above and Beyond Group Therapy Weekender at the Gorge Amphitheater in Washington last last summer. Wow, it feels like so much longer ago. And just every single person I met there just will vibe with you, will talk with you. I've never seen a campground left cleaner just because people care about the environment. They want to keep the space clean for future events. They want to take care of each other. And that was a trip I took a big chance on. I bought a ticket with no idea how I was getting there or where I was staying or what that was going to be like. I didn't know anybody here in Minnesota that was going at the time because I didn't really have, a music family here yet. And as it was getting closer and closer, I was on an event page, the Facebook event page, and this girl, Stacy, put out a message like, oh, anybody in, the Southern California, LA area looking for camping, we have 2 spots. And I was like, well, like I live in Minnesota, but I do need a place to camp. And so we chatted for a bit, just kind of like feeling out the vibe. Do you think, this is going to work? Is it not going to work? And then just took that chance and flew to LA, and she and 3 other people that I had never met picked me up, and we drove up the coast to Washington for 3 days. And, it was an experience. I got to see things I never thought I'd see. Met they were amazing people. And I like to say, like, we came into it strangers and we left as total family, by the end of it. And so I'll never forget that weekend.
And listeners, just to let you know, in Emily's Hinge profile, she wrote a little ditty about. Do you remember how you wrote it? Like
my best travel story?
Yeah.
Something about flying to LA to meet a group of strangers and then driving up the coast for 3 days.
So take notes, because that was one of the reasons for me to it piqued my interest. I thought, and also because I was a little nervous about what to talk about, I was like, let me just pick that, and then let's see how she shares it. And to me, I think I talk a lot about this in different ways or different episodes, but it's sometimes we have to get out of our comfort zone. Sometimes we have to take chances and risks. Sometimes we have to do something we've never done before in order to see what comes next. And I remember our first phone conversation because I had just moved into my apartment and there was nothing in the apartment. I was like laying on the ground on the carpet, which is actually my buddy's room now. But but I remember talking to you, and we had talked about that experience of yours, and I just love the fact that I could picture it. I could picture. But also, it's like when I heard it, I was like, wow, she's so brave. She's so like, I mean, I don't know if I could have done that, and listeners, I don't know if you could have done that. But the fact that Emily made that choice, and she's great. She's better than she was. But yeah, I know that was one of the first things that we talked about.
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
And so, you mentioned Above and Beyond.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us, just in your own words, what is it about them? Like, is it? I mean, because they've been around.
Yeah.
Right.
20 years.
Yeah.
Hard questions. No.
Yeah, I know.
It's so hard to describe a feeling. Their music and then every other artist they have, under their label, I would say the same thing about or similarly. It's just they're, not all electronic music has lyrics. It's kind of the fun journey of listening to the beats. But when they do, they're just very thought-provoking, very, they can be very emotional. I mean, what I love about them is, they have some songs that I could listen to over and over and over and just like, vibe and dance and like, this is awesome. And then I might hear it another time. They have a song called Peace of Mind that comes to mind when I'm saying this. And then, like, I remember I was on the car one day. I was just driving to work. I don't think I was feeling particularly bad or sad or anything about anything. I was just going to work, and it came on, and I just started to really listen. And I just started bawling in my car. I was like, oh, my God. Like, now I get it. That's like a lot of people talked about that song. And a lot of people had said, like, oh, that song saved my life for whatever reasons. It could be for any, and then I finally realized, like, it hit me. It's like, oh my God, I get it. But then just the energy they put forth, their care and their love for their fans. Just again, any of the DJs on their label that I've been blessed to see. I've been able to meet quite a few of them, and they're people. They're not celebrity, which I something I find very, I don't know, I don't know what I want. It just makes it very
genuine.
Yeah, that's
yeah. I just wanted to bring that question up because I'm sure some of the listeners know who they are and some listeners don't, but like I didn't know who they were, although funny thing is that on my some of my workout playlist and even some of my calmer playlists, I already had some of their songs on there.
I remember that now.
Yeah. And but I didn't know, the significance behind their music. And but since knowing you, because it's something that means a lot to you, I've learned from my mentor to invest into what your girlfriend is interested in, learn about it, and because it's important to you. Well, what's really cool is that you've been able to share that with me, and it's also affected me. I remember the first time I met your friends, not too long ago, but we went over to Devon's, right? And we were listening to we were watching on a nice screen with cool music, cool speakers, cool setup. What was it? The live recording?
It was their milestone show. So they have a radio show, a weekly radio show called, and this is this is what I'm going to come back to, but it's called Above and Beyond Group Therapy Radio. And I love that name, like group therapy. Me too. It's just like music is like our therapy. These people, this community. I love that it's group therapy. So every 50 radio shows, at least pre-COVID, they would pick a place in the world and put on a big event. People would come in from all over. I've known some people who've been to, one gal I know, she went to see them in Prague last year. The year before that, they had it in Hong Kong. One year it was at the Gorge. One year it was in Amsterdam, London, India. And they just go. And everybody, as many people who can, goes and sees them. And since they couldn't really do anything like that this year, and they didn't even really get to be together for much of it, and they ended up doing it on a boat. So it was our ABGT 400 on the River Thames, I think. Yeah. Hope I'm saying that correctly.
In London, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because they had the bridge thing. And and I think that was the first time I ever experienced, the closest thing to a concert, and just for the listeners, like I wasn't sure if I was gonna get into it. There was a part of me that was like, oh, what if I don't like it? What if I get bored? But then I was like, but it's important to Emily, and that's all that matters. But then once I got in that space and I committed to it, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna what's the word? Take it in. I don't know what the
Absorb it, vibe it. I don't know.
See, that's what's cool
Dance.
about EDM. There's like no rules,
Nope.
even though I mentioned, that's why I say quasi, rules. And again, it talks. The reason why I love talking about this with you is because, my biggest thing is being excited for people to find who they are in their nature. And, it took me many years to find mine. And like I've shared with you many times, it was with my fight crew, with my mentor, my coach, and how he introduced me martial arts and boxing in a way that I needed, but I didn't know that I needed it. Mm-hmm. Right? It was just through the experience, through the doing, through the trial and error. Some days were like confusing. Some days were I was disappointed in myself. Some days, but then there are some days where I'm just on a high, or there's some days where, I feel like a champ. And so I remember you, and I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget. But you a few times have quoted EDM found me. Can you briefly talk about that? And then
Yeah, actually, you were right into my brain, because that's what I was going to bring up next. Just as you were talking about finding yourself in in your thing and with your fighting and just kind of getting to know you. Mm-hmm. That's kind of how I felt. So I would say I didn't find EDM. I don't think many 30-some-year-olds go seeking party music. But I feel like it found me. I think any other time in my life, if I were to have been exposed or to listen to it, it may not have had its grab. It may not have become what it became in my life. And so I think there's something very special about that. And it's just something very, again, it's hard to explain the feeling of being in those environments, but just feeling, as somebody who used to be very shy, very quiet, very self-conscious about everything, and now to be 36 and going to these shows with all these young people. It's not just young people, but you just kind of feel old, but it's it doesn't matter. We are still here. We can still cover ourselves in glitter like sparkly unicorns and dance and have fun, and it doesn't matter. And everybody's kind. Everybody's welcome. Well, I shouldn't say everybody. Most people. As Kavik always says, there's bad apples in every bunch, but generally speaking, it's very just warm and welcoming. And to just, I think for me, with everything I felt with anxiety in the past, everything just would melt away under the music with the dancing, and it's a magical thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's so do you think that EDM has a, I don't want to say definition or connotation, but like you mentioned, some people call it party music. Do you think that gives it a bad rep, or do you think it's not about that? It's just, or what are your thoughts about that?
I mean, I wouldn't say that per se, but you tell people, oh, I'm going to a rave tonight. Mm-hmm. Where does your mind go?
Party.
Yeah. I mean, and that's not untrue. It does have, but it's not what it's about. It's, most people are there just for the love of the music. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
so it's a place or it's a community where people can find whatever they want out of it, mm-hmm. Because I was gonna say party, but then I think some people also think drugs, right? And you'd mentioned a couple of times to me, that's not your thing, that's not why you do it, and and so it makes me think just like martial arts or just like boxing, there are people who just want to knock somebody out. I can choose to associate with them. I can mm-hmm. choose to train with them, or I can choose to just not do that. but it's still available. Were there other artists? So you mentioned Above and Beyond, but are there other artists that you wanted to just maybe share so people could maybe take a listen to them, or just listen to Above and Beyond? I don't know. So.
Oh, I mean, there's so many. It depends on your taste. I know some, Above and Beyond would be kind of categorized as trance, and a lot of people like to, I like music across the different subgenres. But like, are there artists on their label that I think are definitely amazing to check out would be like Oliver Smith. I got to see him play last summer. He did a daytime show, and he ended up playing for 2 extra hours. And I've never seen someone smile more, look more in love with what they were doing with their life than watching. He just you could tell he was having a blast. Elon Bluestone is incredible. Jason Ross. He's actually from Minnesota.
Oh, really? Wow.
Fun fact. So he's a good one to see. Seven Lions is awesome. I could go on and on and on.
Okay.
The list keeps growing.
Awesome. Well, thanks. Now, real quick, your sweater.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
Oh. So this is last year's Anjuna ugly Christmas sweater. So it's this lovely.
Ugly, though. It's beautiful.
I know. I love this sweater. I've never been into like buying people's merch until I got into Anjuna and Above and Beyond, and I was just like, I want it all. But I bought this last year, and so this is the label's logo. So they call it the Anjuna A, and it's all over the sweater.
Yay! So we wanted to wear our sweaters today. All right. So you have a very another fascinating aspect to what another reason that that I get inspired and drawn to you is also your journey about self-care and how you discovered it, how your process, how you're able to because I think on the podcast I talk a lot about different ways of self-care and health and wellness and the mind, body, spirit experience and the intent and the dedication that is required. And so for you, you have an interesting story because when we went into the pandemic, or when we were mandatory, I was in Los Angeles and you were here. You have a story about that and how that affected you. Could you talk and share a little bit about that?
Yeah. Well, I guess to kind of start, this was going to be kind of an exciting big year for me in terms of music events. I was supposed to go to Las Vegas in May for one of the biggest festivals. It's called EDC, or it's Electric Daisy Carnival. And I was so excited. It's like the one everyone, you got to go to this one. It's huge. Like you never see anything like it. So I was so excited. I had my ticket, my hotel, my flight. Like I was ready to go. And then that got postponed, inevitably canceled. And I was also supposed to be going to Chicago in June to see Above and Beyond's acoustic show, which is something they do not very often. And so all that was canceled. All the other shows I had tickets to in town were canceled or postponed. And for a while it was a bummer, but it was fine. Could get by. There were lots of live streams and live events I could watch from the comfort of my couch. Wasn't the same, but it was something. And then sometime in like early May, I hadn't been working. They didn't need substitute teachers during that half of distant learning. So I wasn't working. I wasn't really leaving the house. And I just felt like I had nothing. And I was bored and I was miserable. And hit like a point of depression, and my anxiety was just starting to really ramp up again because I didn't have that release that I had of, and I think there was maybe like a week or 2 weeks I just kind of didn't leave my bed hardly. And I was living at my parents' at the time, and sometimes I would go down and like just like sadly like flop in the chair in my mom's office, and she'd be like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "Nothing. I'm fine." And then she's like, "No, you're not fine. You're not fine. I can tell." She's like, "I'm tired of walking by and seeing my daughter like crying in bed every day. Like, what's going on?" And so finally we started talking, and just realized I didn't feel like I had any sense of purpose without teaching and without that outlet of seeing artists perform to like de-stress. And so we kind of were talking about maybe I could find places to volunteer or just some other things I could try and do to feel fulfilled. And so even just that conversation kind of helped perk me up a little bit. And then I was just trying to find other things to do to at least not focus on why I was so like blue. Mm-hmm. And so one of the biggest things I did, and I'll probably say this forever, the best thing I've ever done for myself was deleting Facebook. Like good, gone, bye-bye. It was just doing nothing but depressing me. Just all the anger, all the hate, all of the bad news all the time, the fighting between, I'm just like, I can't. But then I did download the TikTok just so I had something I could watch and laugh. So I'm still laying in bed and not doing anything because I didn't feel like I couldn't, but now I'm laughing. I was laughing and smiling for the first time in weeks. So then I started, feeling kind of bored, like, oh, I actually got rid of Instagram for a while too. I re-uploaded it later in the summer with a new
handle.
New handle, new vibe. I'm like, I had nothing to look at on my phone, like. Ugh. And my younger sister is like, well, you should get Pinterest. It's like all the fun of Facebook without all the nasty crap. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I started scrolling through, and I was seeing all these fun ideas for bullet journals. And I'm like, oh. And that was something my sister and I had actually talked about as like a way to maybe, as I was trying to figure out how to like get all of these feelings, this anxiety, this quarantine depression, like work through it. She's like, well, you could write a journal. And I'm like, yeah, but I get really weird when I write journals. Like I want them to be like perfect. And like, I read too many diary books growing up. I was like, somebody's going to read it in the future and it's got to be awesome. Or I'm going to look back at it and laugh at myself like, oh my God. She's like, well, you could bullet journal. It's just like making things in lists or like pictures. And I'm like, and then I started seeing all these ideas for that. And I got inspired and went to the store and bought all this stuff and started bullet journaling and looking at other things and just like tracking how I was feeling each day or trying to find gratitude in every day. There are some months where I just wrote down, the highlight of my day, finding at least one good thing that happened every single day and just getting it down and then focusing on other things I could do. Like, my very first page is actually mind, body, spirit, different things you can do for each of those in your day to feel more, at peace with yourself. And then through that, then I started seeing different things. This is before I got rid of Instagram, but I was seeing things from, I don't know how I found it. I honestly don't know how I found it. I don't remember now how I found this. But I found this online community through he calls himself the Angry Therapist. And so I started kind of following along the online community, and they do like these text messages. You get a text message once a day, and it's like just something motivational, and it's just the people kind of sharing ways to work through different things, whether it's anxieties or depressions or relationship issues so I took a lot of stock in that was something that I really enjoyed learning about. And through that online community, I was told about a couple different books. And so I went out to the store and I started buying some of these, what do we call it?
Mind, body?
Mind, body, spirit, like mindfulness books.
Yeah.
And I just haven't looked back. And now it's just something I very much enjoy, like learning about how to be my best self, to work through like that, I'm human. I still have anxieties, but to try and work through that anxiety in a healthy manner. And I realized, and as much as I still, can't wait to go back to a real show again, I've learned I don't need it. It doesn't have to be my crutch for feeling good, because I can do that myself now. So that's been my biggest takeaway. And like, I know 2020 has been kind of crap, but I'm grateful for it. I wouldn't be who I am right now if all of these events hadn't happened this year. So as much as I hope, everything goes back to as normal as possible, like I'm going to remain blessed for the way this year has unfolded for me.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's just lovely. I think, and this is a big reason why I wanted to have you here today, is because I think a lot of people are going through so much 2020. Everyone's calling the meme is the garbage, the trash, the fire.
2020 is a dumpster fire.
Yeah, and being somebody who's more optimistic, being somebody who's more positive, I always try to look at things not as the end all be all, but I know it's not for everybody. So I really like your story or the manifestation of your story, because you went through all that, and but one thing that really sticks out to me is that you made choices. And I always encourage people on the podcast or in our sessions, in coaching, we have to make a choice. And what we choose truly determines what kind of a life we're going to live moment to moment. And so there was a couple of things, and I like to write notes, so I should have. There was your mom. Your mom seemed to recognize something in you. Even, you mentioned when you discovered EDM and how she brought up, the anxiety. And then again, when you were in quarantine. And so I think that's very cool. And really, thank your mom for doing that. But I think that, some of us have to, sometimes, or maybe all the time, I don't know. But there are people in our lives that love us. There's people in our lives that want to communicate with us. And sometimes we're just maybe going through a lot that we just want to, look away, or we don't want to listen to them. But as I shared in my just previous episode podcast, maybe sometimes we just have to be open to the fact that someone is trying to communicate with you. Mm-hmm. And so like making that choice to, yeah, Mom, I'm not doing good, instead of like trying to hide it or trying to run away from it or trying to cover it up. The other thing that you said, oh boy. Yeah, that happens. The other thing that you mentioned was how at some point you realized that as much as you loved being in the EDM community, as much as you loved going to the shows, as much as it helped you at some point in your life, this time, at this moment, because of the situation that you were in, you could not be dependent on it like you normally are. And you had to again, be uncomfortable, again, have to make a choice as to, well, what am I going to do? And so I think of the word attachment. I think of the word, in Buddhism, that's like a huge thing, that we form attachments. And when we form attachments, we become very dependent on it. And so what's so incredible about your story is that EDM itself was a very inspiring thing. And there's like in your experience, there was nothing negative about it. It's just now you couldn't access it. Mm-hmm. So it's like nobody did anything bad or wrong, to you specifically or to anyone.
Oh no, I mean, and I still love it.
Yeah.
There honestly hit a point where, like, when all of that stuff hit me in like May, and I've been trying to like sustain off live streams, but it just, for me, it felt like more and more obvious, like this isn't going to end anytime soon, and I stopped. I couldn't watch another one. It just, I think, was bumming me out even more. And I didn't honestly even really listen to it in my car or doing anything for a long time. Well, not a long time in grand scheme of the world, but for a couple months. Because just the sheer act of listening to it just made me feel, I don't know, not uncomfortable. It made me long for what I was missing. And I think that's why now I'm like really enjoying that again. I'm enjoying listening to my music again and watching DJs play on the computer, because that's what it's going to be from now on. And if I want to enjoy my favorite artists, it's going to have to be that way. And I'm glad to know that through doing all that work for myself, that's not what I never really looked at it as like a crutch, but some people might say as a crutch for coping. But the fact that I could step back and work through all these other things I needed to for myself that I wasn't maybe realizing, has allowed me to like re-engage and re-enjoy it with as much, fervor as I always had.
Yeah, exactly. There's I've been coming across a few times during the pandemic on Instagram, some different posts, but very similar. And it's always this thing about you can lift heavy weights, you can do yoga poses, you can meditate, you can do all that stuff. The stuff that we think self-care. You can eat the healthiest of vegetables, but if you don't recognize yourself, if you don't love yourself, none of that matters. And I thought that that's very cool, because I think all those things accompany self-care, self-love, but we cannot be dependent on any one thing. So the reason why I say that is because I also felt like that in my training, and I still do. Like everything that I do it because it accompanies it pushes it goes right in together with that process. But what I realized, it's really about this.
Yeah.
It's really about being okay with this. If I'm okay with this, then everything else has its place. But I remember thinking, at some point, I'm not going to be able to take a punch in the face, or a punch to the gut, or like a lot of athletes, their knees go out, right? ACL torn, right? Many athletes lose their identity, or people who fight in the war, right? They don't know who they are anymore because they've lost that identity. They've lost that thing that they built on. But what we should be doing is sharing with the message of who you are is enough, but we also have to take the time to know who we are outside of the things that we think we need to identify ourselves with in the world. So, I mean, that's a big part of what I'm about is how do we have conversations with people that go beyond I'm a lawyer, I'm a doctor, I'm a football player, I'm a healer, all these labels, because labels eventually will go away. Last thing, I've been watching Mike Tyson's hot boxing podcast just these last couple of days, and I love it. Absolutely love it. But one thing that he said was, eventually, it will get taken away from you. He said, you can train, you can be the heavyweight champion in the world, you can have all this money, you can have the cars. Again, in hindsight, he's talking in hindsight after all his experience, right? Mm-hmm. But I really liked it because he said, all you have is the people that your relationships, your family, who you are. And I think that ties in, to me, it ties in with why my purpose. And I'm going to be quoting my mentor. I always do it at least twice every episode. I remember him saying that you find your purpose in life through the people in your life. And I just think that that's
beautiful.
It is, isn't it? And so I just want to encourage the listeners. Emily shared an amazing story here, and I'm really, proud. And I've already said that, but I'm excited to learn more about her, be part of her life, and to continue to see her growth. I always tell people, what I love about Emily is that she's already doing the self-care, right? Like, I love going onto her Instagram every morning and seeing, and not that you have to do it every morning, but I get excited to see that she's posting something about self-care, where I'm the one who's like, still waking up, haven't done anything. Just kidding. But it's not because we're all on our journeys, but I don't have to be part of the equation, and she's already doing the self-care. Because I wouldn't be with somebody who isn't doing that, right? If you stop doing that, then I wouldn't be a part of it. I just wouldn't want to.
Right.
And so it's great. It's great to have you here today. Did anything else?
No. Just thank you for having me. I hope it's weird for me to feel like I have a story to share. That's very new for me. But hopefully it resonates with somebody, and just very honored to have been asked to be a part of this. So thank you.
You're welcome. We're not done yet, but
all right.
Okay. So with every guest, I like to do 5 questions. Sometimes I know what these questions are. Sometimes I have no clue. So the first I want to ask you is, what's your favorite word?
Ooh.
I just thought of it.
Oh.
It could just be the word that pops in your head too.
I don't know. I can't think of it. Can we bounce back to that question?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. No worries. Oh, here's a fun one. All right. So Emily and I have this whole thing. We send GIFs to each other on the daily, little animal GIFs. So what's an animal that represents you? And if you want to, why?
Like a spirit animal kind of thing, or
however you want to answer it. I think we should tell them about.
Well, I was gonna say my mind's going right to raccoons right now.
And why is that?
I don't even know how it started. I honestly
was it Guardians? Was it Rocket?
I think it was before that. Even
Okay. All right.
I don't know.
Okay. What is it about the raccoon?
They look cute and cuddly, but they could like still rip your face off if they needed to.
Trash panda.
Trash, yeah.
All right. What song does it for you? I know there are many, but what's one song?
Oh. I'm going to bounce back to the one I talked about earlier.
Okay.
Peace of Mind.
Okay.
Just all around. Whether it's their normal club version, whether it's their acoustic version. Beautiful.
Check it out. Check it out. Peace of Mind.
Yes.
Yep.
Amazing.
Cool video too. I need a question. What's your favorite food?
You and these hard questions.
Is it that hard?
It is a hard one. Because you know me, I like everything.
That's right. That's why we gotta.
Oh. I'm going to say green curry. Thai green curry.
Okay. Thai, right?
Extra spicy with tofu.
Oh, there you
get
go.
Specific.
Cool. Our first date, by the way.
That's true.
Okay. Good answer. You like holidays.
Yes.
Since we're getting close to Christmas, again, those that celebrate it, what is it? What's one thing about Christmas that you like?
I'm going to explain it a little bit, but I like the sparkle. And that whether that's lights, glittery things, or just, I almost feel like I could describe sparkle as a feeling too. Just kind of that, I don't know. But I love the sparkle.
Okay. Love that. All right. This is the harder one. People think it's hard. I don't know. Oops. Distraction. Okay. When it's all said and done, life. What do you hope? What do you hope? What do you... How did I word it?
Remember you by?
Huh?
Remember you by? Or what do you hope people remember about you?
Okay, I got it. When it's all said and done, what is the thing that you want your life to have meant or to be?
You know, if I were like a fly on the wall in my own funeral somewhere down the line, I'd like to hear people talking about, you know, just my kindness and compassion, the things that I've been passionate about in my life. But like really as an educator, you know, one thing I really hope is that, you know, if not by the end of my life, but by the end of my career at least, that I've, you know, made a lasting impact on at least one student. So it's kind of like the dream, just like, you know, I want to change, you know, I got into the field to, you know, help and teach and hopefully, and I say change lives, but you know, just, I want to have a positive impact and leave that behind in my students, because then they'll hopefully go on and continue creating good impacts on everybody around them. And it's a nice trail.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. Favorite word?
I'm going to say why.
Okay. All right.
Whether it's asking a question to get further clarification or understanding the why behind something.
But is there anything that we didn't touch upon that you wanted to, or is there a lasting thing that you wanted to share with the listeners before we go?
I can't really think of anything.
Okay.
The only thing I you know, really want to say, and I'm sure it's been said or people have heard it, but just never take for granted like the the impact that something that seems so small can have on your life, or whether it's a favorite song, whether it's, yeah, just any little thing, just can make a big splash. But then, yeah, just, again, grateful to be talking and sharing, and yeah.
Yeah. So another, I want to just, also just end on the fact that if it weren't for the choices that you made, and we've talked about this many times, but like, if it wasn't for the choices, none of who you are, where you're at, would have manifested. And so, can I share this?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So one of the things that Emily gave me, or has given me, is this bracelet. Can we call it candy?
Candy.
Okay, candy. So we did the whole ritual with the plur, and when she gave it to me, and it was so it says it's a bracelet that says manifest it, and there's a lotus flower, there's Bodhi beads like the ones that I have, green, which matches my sweater. That's just the timing of it. But I wear this proudly because also my whole situation as well, coming back to Minnesota, not sure of what life was going to look like. And I think, a lot of us are going through that. We're feeling days upon days of, unsure, uncertainty, not sure if the next thing that we do is going to be safe, life or death situation. I've heard very close friends of mine recently losing family members to COVID, and I can only imagine what they're experiencing, what they're going through. So just want to encourage all of us to stand strong, but also have faith that things will manifest as they need to. And so, we'll talk more about it. We'll have to bring you back, and we'll talk about our relationship, and we'll have more to talk about our relationship. But I look at this bracelet and this candy, and it reminds me of just how life, if you allow it to, can truly manifest in your favor. And so I think that you're a testimony of that happening, and continuing to happen, and it's because of the choices that you've chosen to make, and allow the people that love you to be a part of that.
Yeah.
And so, do you have a social media page? You mentioned Instagram, TikTok, that you can leave for the listeners, so they can keep in touch with you, see what you're up to, and if you're okay with it, send you a message.
Sure.
Okay. Can you pass down the handle too?
Yes. So Instagram is at Emily Marie 2.0. So OHEMBILLY Marie 2.0. And then TikTok's the same minus the 2.0. It's just Emily Marie.
Awesome. Go and support your girl. That's doing the thing, and you'll catch some of the little dancing videos that we like to do, among other things. Yeah, I think that wraps it up. Everyone, please be safe, enjoy your holidays, and again, thanks to our friend, brother Josh Dairud at Daijo Media for the space. Always love coming in here. Looking forward to doing more with you in the upcoming year. And that's it. Okay. With that, everyone take care. You are loved. You are enough. And you are worthy. Blessings to all of you.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next week. And remember, you are loved. You are enough. And you are worthy. Blessings to all of you.
Okay, I'm gonna take a swig of my coffee. Good job. How was it?
Good.
Yeah. She got comfortable, didn't she?
I get, well, yeah, once I warm up.
I know. I know. Oh, I forgot to high five.
Oh.
I was gonna high